Hello and welcome to another episode of The Framework of Tomorrow. I am your host, Keegan Goldfarb, and this is episode 18. Today I'm going to be talking about the history of dogs and how they became man's best friend. So this is going to be a super interesting episode. I know most people own a dog, or know people that own a dog. I've met like a couple people in my entire life that just don't like dogs, which is kind of like a, what? How is it even possible? Anyway, before we get into our episode today, as always, I want to talk about my sponsor, not only here on the Framework of Tomorrow, but also on the network I am in, Raleigh Network. If you want to learn more about the network I am in, the episode before this, episode 17, I talked about the network I'm in, Raleigh Network. If you want to check us out, go to raleighnetwork.net. If you want to hear more, go listen to the last episode, and there's some more in-depth of what is going on there. But our sponsor for both the network and my show is the Minnesota Nurse. If you are pursuing a higher education or want insight on life as a nurse, go check out Ashley Luann Kay at the Minnesota Nurse on Instagram. She is a nurse that is she is trying to achieve a higher education, and like I said, if you are pursuing to a higher education, she's kind of doing the walk on how she is going to do that, so she could maybe help you out or answer some questions. If you're even considering it, go and check her out at the Minnesota Nurse on Instagram. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about the history of dogs and how they became man's best friend and how they continue to be man's best friend. Before I get into that, I kind of want to talk a little bit about my dog. So I actually, how many dogs have I had since I've been alive? I've had 2 dogs. So the first one was Baxter. I'm not completely sure what kind of dog he was. He was a little dog. And then we got the second dog, which I remember more because she's kind of been around for a majority of my life. She is a golden doodle. Her name is Rosie. She is the cutest dog in the world. She's getting a little older now. She's 12 now, I believe. She's getting pretty old. Or is she 13 now? I'm not sure. She's getting pretty old up there, but she's just been an amazing dog. I've loved playing with her growing up, and just her being around, really, she loves my mom. She's super attached to my mom. She's kind of like her guardian. She just barks at like anyone that comes closer. She's super protective. It's actually really funny. But yes, so that's kind of my dog. So I am licensed to talk about man's best friend, a dog. When I talk about cats, though, I'm not licensed on that because I've never actually had a cat. Oops. But I do like cats. It's not that I don't like cats. I like a lot of animals. I don't think I know any animals that I don't like. I tend to like animals. They're interesting to me. Okay, so today, first off, in history, dogs were the first domesticated animal on Earth. We domesticated them before we domesticated cats. Let's just get that out of the way. That's why dogs are... I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Dogs are not... I'm not saying dogs are better, but we did domesticate them first. They were the first ones. You might ask. You're like, all right. So, what was a dog? What was a dog? Where did they come from? I'm sure you've heard that they are descendants of a wolf. And that is true, because early dogs were a domesticated version of a gray wolf. Oh, also, before I forget, we actually domesticated dogs before we knew about mathematics, literature, and even how we knew how to use like iron and bronze and stuff like that. Like we had dogs a long time ago. I'll get a little bit more into that. But dogs are a domesticated version of the gray wolf. Where did this happen first? We don't actually know that because dogs have kind of been all over the world, especially in Europe and Eurasia, Asia, China has had them. We kind of just started domesticating these wolves and a bunch of different kinds of wolves, but specifically the gray wolf. There was 2 base wolves across the world. So like in Europe, say there's the gray wolf, and then in China and more in Asia area, there was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like kind of like wolf, but it's like an Asian wolf. And those are kind of the base of dogs as we know it, with all the different kinds of breeds and stuff. Because over the years, since we've started domesticating them, They've changed and evolved into all different shapes and sizes. These wolves, the first breed of dogs, are actually extinct, but a majority of dogs today still have that like blood in them for the most part. But yeah, we those kind of don't exist anymore, but they basically came from two different dogs, and they've kind of just bred together, and then that just started, if you have the gray wolf and then the Asian wolf, I'm just going to call it that. I don't know exactly what it's called. If they breed, they make a I don't know, the mix between them, then they start breeding in different places. These dogs, it's just over history, over a long time, they have changed and kind of made all of the dogs we know today. Dogs are a majorly important part of history. Majorly important. They have helped us with a lot of things. They helped us, especially early on in history, with hunting, which they still do today, actually. Protecting our villages and kingdoms. They've kind of just been the pinnacle of like pets. Like anything else, you have humans, right? And then the second thing to a human is basically a dog, because they're our best friend and we're like, number one. They're kind of number two because they've been with us. I don't even know if I want to call them number two, because they've just been with us and we owe a lot of our history to them as well. Like I was talking about, we don't completely know when they were first domesticated, but recently on the eastern edge of Ireland, there was a monument found that dates back to 4,800 years ago. That is a really long time ago. In Ireland, so the eastern edge of Ireland, there's this monument. This is actually before a lot of the major, like the pyramids and stuff were made. So this is a long time ago in Ireland. And what they found underneath this monument was remains of one of the first kinds of domesticated dogs. And how they knew this was the fossil had a Petrus. It's Petrous. If you are into biology and stuff like that, you probably know what that is. Humans have them too. If you take your finger, you can do this right now. If you take your finger, you put it right behind your ear, that little like hard, I don't know, there's like a little part that kind of pushes out. That right there holds about 80% of your DNA if like you would analyze it. So that fossil had a dog's Petrus or whatever. I can't say it, but you know what I mean. So they had that, and they got a whole entire genome of this dog, and it ended up being one of the first dogs. So if there was a record of that in 4,800 years ago in Ireland, which is forever ago, that's like all the way back in what we're talking like Bible times and stuff, like early civilization. So that was a long time ago. And if we had dogs then, we've had dogs for a very long time. Dogs have literally been our best friend. And it's actually, they said, there was a scientist that said that if like dogs are attributing kind of to the human survival. So this scientist was basically making the argument that we have billions of people on Earth right now, right? If we didn't have dogs, they were saying it would be more in the millions. So let that sink in for a second. If we didn't have dogs, we would not have billions of people on Earth today. That's insane. I don't really know how true that could be, but nevertheless, that's crazy, because dogs have been just such a intricate part of history. I mean, we have movies, we have documentaries of dogs, movies of dogs. We have animated movies of dogs. Or Scooby-Doo. There's The Secret Life of Pets. That's one that came to my head. Old Yeller. It's an older one. That's a sad one though. I can't think of another. I can't think of other movies, but we have a lot of our of human existence, we've focused on dogs a lot, and they have really been close to us and our best friend. And you might be wondering, you're like, right. You talk about the history of something, and then you talk about the future of something. So what's the future of dogs then? Because now they're kind of domesticated to the point where we dress them up and make them look a little cute, and stuff like that. Well, we have that. We also have around the world, we still have like sheepdogs who are herding sheep, and there's that golden retriever on your grandpa's farm that's been helping him out for years. They really have been our best friend along our side in history, continue to be, and will continue to be. They are going to help with our continual future and civilization just by being there for us and being our little furry little friends. It's so cute. I love dogs. They're great. But yeah, so dogs have been amazing. I'm sure you know a lot of dogs, a lot of people. You've had dogs in your life. You've had family members with dogs. I remember when I was younger, dogs are such good friends that I remember when my first dog died, I was just bawling my eyes out. I mean, granted, I was a kid, but even my parents were super sad about it. And yeah, dogs, they're just such an intricate part of human existence. And I personally really like dogs, and I can't wait until I'm in college, if you didn't know this, until after college when I can get my own place, I can live off campus, and I can get my own dog. I can get my new best friend. Aside from, of course, if I ever get married, that might be a problem. I'm just kidding. Dogs always come before women. Remember that. I'm kidding. Don't take that as literal. I did not actually mean that. It was just a joke. It's just a joke. Just calm down. But yeah, so dogs have been so amazing. I know I've said that 500 times. I'll finally get to the random history fact of the day. So, random history fact of the day. You're thinking, dogs, what are you going to do? I have a crazy nuts history fact about dogs. So 3 dogs actually ended up surviving the Titanic. Vest Street states that there are I can't even talk. That the dogs that were in first class included a Pomeranian puppy, which her owner wrapped in a blanket to escape with, and everyone thought she was carrying a baby. So, the Titanic is sinking. You know how it was always women and children first. And this lady decides, I don't know if this was intentional or not. It could have been intentional, which would be smart. But she takes her dog and wraps it up. And they're like, oh, you got a baby. You got to go first. Even though it turned out to be a dog. That I almost hope that was intentional, because that would be hilarious if she ended up getting away with that. I mean, it was women and children first, so she still would have gotten to go first in that. But when I actually researched this, it was like, Rose and Jack, get out of the way. This dog is more important. It was funny. But yes, another Pomeranian survived, and a Pekinese? I've never even heard of this type. I've never heard of either type of these dogs, actually. But they were both rescued. So 3 dogs ended up surviving the Titanic. Good job, dogs. If the dogs could do it, why couldn't you do it, Jack? Honestly, get on the dogs level. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Framework of Tomorrow. Once again, I am your host, Keegan Goldfarb. This episode has been Man's Best Friend. That is right, I named it actually before I recorded, which isn't normal. But Man's Best Friend, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Check me out on Instagram at The Framework of Tomorrow. Make sure to send thoughts and questions on my Instagram. You can DM me, or questions at theframeworkoftomorrow@gmail.com. Make sure to rate me 5 stars on iTunes. It really helps me out. Or rate me 1 star. Just rate me on iTunes. It helps out. Put in your little comment if you want to be shouted out, and I will shout you out at the beginning of my episode. Maybe give me a little funny thing you want me to say, and I'll say it for you. I actually haven't checked my iTunes in a while. I should probably check that. I keep saying that every episode. Maybe people have actually been commenting. Maybe, okay, on my Wednesday episode, if I'll check right after this, right after I'm done recording, if you have good and faithful listener actually rated me on on iTunes and you want to be shout out, I will shout you out on the next episode, I promise. But I upload every Monday and Wednesday at 5 a.m. Make sure to tune in then, unless last week when I decided to forget about Wednesday and then it wasn't at 5 a.m., it was at 5 p.m. when I uploaded it. But anyway, have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Make sure to tune in Wednesday for another fantastic episode of The Framework of Tomorrow.